we have elected an idiot.
So I know you've all been eagerly waiting for my response to Trump's election. So buckle up, buckaroos, here it is.
Your time is up, my time is now. You can't see me, my time is now.
So ever since the election, I've been hearing all kinds of dumb excuses for why Trump won. Voters are sick of the status quo. Something globalism. Working class people felt ignored by the political elites. Trump's a good businessman and will boost the economy. Trump's honest and a straight talker. Trump can't be bought. Hillary's corrupt and a war hawk. They took our jobs.
They took our jobs! They took our jobs! They took Oh man, they took your job? They took it.
I'm here to tell you that none of these excuses are valid, nor do they justify voting for Trump over Hillary. It really does just come down to a certain segment of the population being mouth-breathing troglodyte idiots. You got rational people trying to come up with rational explanations for the irrational. You can't win at that game, they're just idiots. Even if you don't like Trump, but somehow think it's justifiable for someone to vote for him, you're still an idiot because you haven't thought it through enough. So I'm about to explain to you all, slowly so you can understand me, the top 5 reasons you're an idiot if you supported Donald Trump. The number 1 reason you're an idiot if you supported Donald Trump is Donald Trump's an idiot. If after weighing the pros and cons of both candidates you choose to support the one who is a verifiable idiot, it stands to reason that you are also an idiot. Let's talk about his speech. Donald Trump speaks at a 4th grade reading level. When his speech was analyzed, they found he speaks almost universally in single-syllable rhythmic series, punctuating each attempted sentence with buzzwords. Out of the few 3-syllable words found, 75% were tremendous.
A tremendous response. Tremendous asset. Tremendously successful. Tremendous mistake. Tremendous amounts of stuff. Tremendous amount of money. Tremendous amount. Tremendous problem. Tremendous cost over. Tremendous infrastructure. Tremendous corruption. Tremendous corruption. Tremendous support. Tremendous potential. Tremendous headache.
Just for reference, Obama speaks at an 8th grade reading level, Clinton speaks at a 7th, 8th grade reading level, and Bernie Sanders speaks at a 10th grade reading level. His speech is also impressively vacuous. He'll say the same thing 3 times in a row, and it was meaningless the first time.
The problem is the caricatures of him are true. He'll say, it's going to be amazing. You won't believe how amazing it will be. It will be very, very amazing. This is an intellectual problem. Okay, smart people don't talk this way.
We should have gotten rid of the lines around each state so we can have real competition. We should have gotten rid of the lines around the state so there's great competition. We have to get rid of the lines around the states so that there's serious competition.
What is your plan? I understand the lines around the state.
The reason we have no competition is because we have lines around the state.
Here's my challenge to you Trump supporters. Find a single video clip of Trump uttering a string of sentences that come together to form a coherent, intelligent, insightful, or even interesting thought. As Sam Harris points out, nearly every time you see him in an interview or in a debate, he's being asked to clarify something he said previously.
When I hear Trump speak extemporaneously, I hear someone very often getting prompted by his own misstatements to complete a thought in a way that he clearly didn't intend to, which is to say that the thing he's now saying doesn't reflect anything he believed or even thought about before. But he's saying it now because the last phrase he spoke just launched him there. Right? It's as though he's speaking in verse, and he's forced again and again to complete the rhyme.
And this is important. When people speak, they're thinking out loud. So when someone's making no sense, you're literally watching their thought process in action. Now I know public speaking is hard, and a lot of us are much smarter on paper than we are in front of people or having to recite things. But Trump is 70 years old. He's not a 20-year-old stuttering university student. Trump's public musings show such pettiness, such basic lack of emotional and intellectual maturity, that it would be inconceivable to promote such a man in any other context. To support a man like this suggests something about your principles as a person. Next thing, stupid beliefs and anti-intellectualism. He believes vaccines are linked to autism. He believes Barack Obama was born in Kenya, and he believes global warming, I shit you not, is a Chinese hoax. These are dumb things to believe. No rational, competent person holds these beliefs. As for anti-intellectualism, those of you who are political science majors or history majors will immediately recognize some of the hallmarks of today's current political paradigm. A deep discontent with democracy, people voting against their own intellect strictly to shake things up and send a message, distrust of elites and intellectualism, growing xenophobia and racism, and the rise of a vapid demagogue who vows to clean things up and make great again. Sound familiar? Idiots.
Take Donald Trump. He's a clown. Literally, could be in the circus. He's getting huge support from people who are angry at everything. Mostly white males. Working class, middle class, poor white males. They are furious about everything. Everything's been taken away from them. There's no economic growth for them, there is for other people. The institutions are all against them. There's concern, deep concern, that they're losing their country because they, generalized they, are taking it away from us. That goes back to a strong nativist tradition in the United States. It's a country of immigrants, but all the way through there's been an effort to construct those of us who are here as not immigrants. And now there's the picture of us as being overwhelmed by Muslims, Mexicans, Chinese. Somehow they're taking our country away. But the response to this is generalized anger at everything. So every time Trump makes a nasty comment about whoever, his popularity goes up, because it's based on hate, hate and fear. And it's unfortunately kind of reminiscent of something unpleasant. Germany, not many years ago. It's worth remembering that in the 1920s, Germany was the absolute peak of Western civilization. In the arts, in the sciences, was regarded as a model of democracy. As late as 1928, Hitler got about 3% of the vote. It went from the peak of Western civilization to the absolute depths of human history within 10 years. And I don't want to say it's identical, but there are similarities.
But Eamon, he's a brilliant businessman. Everybody knows that. He knows how to run a company and manage money. Nope. If you look at his record, he's actually a failed businessman whose only skill is marketing his brand and keeping and holding attention of the media with outrageous statements. He's brilliant at it. His original money came from a multi-million-dollar inheritance, but he also lost a huge amount of money. Trump's failed business ventures include Trump Shuttle, Trump Vodka, 2 magazines, GoTrump.com, Trump University, Trump Ocean Resort, Trump Tower Tampa, and Trump Steaks. Get this, he started Trump Mortgage in 2006, right before the housing crisis. Brilliant. Trump also claims he's worth over $10 billion. When challenged on that figure, Trump told a judge he arrives on that estimate via feelings, even my own feelings, and that could change day to day. This is your business genius. He's basically a poor person's caricature of a rich person. He's a trust fund baby who's an asshole and brags about his wealth. You might as well be the Monopoly Man if the Monopoly Man were a clown and was missing a chromosome. And it's not simply a case of a few mistakes throughout an illustrious, successful career for Donald Trump. As a multi-millionaire, he's done significantly worse than his peers. Businessweek put Trump's net worth at about $100 million in 1978. Had Trump gotten out of real estate entirely and instead put his money in an index based on S&P 500 and reinvesting in dividends, his net worth would be about $6 billion, which is more than twice what his net worth is estimated at right now. The next reason he's an idiot is that he's a demagogic man-baby and a narcissist. He's constantly reminding people about how great he is, as if you were worried they would forget. And if you don't believe me, here's some of his direct quotes. I tell the truth. I think I have the best temperament. People love me and I'm very successful. Everybody loves me. I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I'm like a really smart person. I love the poorly educated. I went to an Ivy League school. I'm very educated, I know words, I have the best words. Who talks like this? The incredible thing about Trump is, He's actually reset everyone's expectation for what is acceptable for a presidential candidate. You've seen the footage of him openly mocking a disabled reporter.
You got to see this guy. I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
Imagine Clinton or Rubio or Romney making fun of a disabled person during their campaign. They'd be done. Over. But for no reason, when it comes to Trump, our standards have been lowered to that of about a 7-year-old. And this criticism of Trump isn't political. It's psychological. It's neurological. It seems that there is genuinely something wrong with his mind. You wouldn't say that about Romney. You wouldn't say that about McCain, even though Romney is a Mormon and wears magic underpants. So if you find Trump appealing in any way at all, it might be because you're also an idiot. And that brings me to number 2. The second reason why you're an idiot if you support Donald Trump is you're an idiot. Now this may seem a bit redundant, but statistically speaking, if you support Trump, science says you're an idiot. Allow me to explain. Let's just start with some education data here first. According to Pew Research, Trump's margin among whites without a college degree, 67% to 28%, is the largest since 1980. And when you compare the voting patterns of college-educated people in general, Clinton leads Trump by 9 points. And again, that's the widest margin since 1980. It's been decades since idiots have been so passionate about something. This gap in education should tell you something. As a general rule, if all the smartest people and most educated people think one way, and you think another way, you might want to reconsider your position. According to Pew Research Center, 62% of Americans get their news from social media, while 44% of Americans say that they get their news from Facebook alone. A BuzzFeed analysis found that 38% of the memes shared from right-wing Facebook pages were found to be either false or misleading. Of course, we get a lot of nonsense out of left-wing memes and Facebook pages as well, but they only found false and misleading information 19% of the time. That's literally double the bullshit you're getting if you're a conservative or right-winger.
These sites can warp your views pretty fast. Your newsfeed may have been full of the Times and the Post stories about Donald Trump's actual scandals, but many Americans logged onto Facebook every day and saw shit like this. And this cesspool of nonsense would be a problem anyway, were it not for the fact that one of the people enthralled to it is our future president. Back in March, he claimed that a man who had rushed the stage at one of his rallies had ties to ISIS, something that had circulated online and had been found to be untrue. And when that was pointed out to him, this was his response.
There's no ties to ISIS for this man, no law enforcement official, and that this video that you linked to appears to be a hoax.
What do I know about it? All I know is what's on the internet.
Okay, here's the thing. Being on the internet is not a high bar for accuracy. If I edited Wikipedia to say that Diane Wiest's real name is Diane Frosted Mini Wiest, our next president would believe that to be true. In fact, during the campaign, Trump routinely used his platform to share wildly incorrect information, and even fellow conservatives tried to point out how irresponsible this was.
You tweeted out that whites killed by blacks, these were statistics you picked up from somewhere, at a rate of 81%. And that's totally wrong. Whites killed by blacks is 15%.
Hey, Bill, am I going to check every statistic? I get millions and millions of people.
You got it. You're a presidential contender. You got to check it.
Millions of people. You know what? Fine. But this came out of radio shows and everything.
While it's human nature to believe what we want to hear, Facebook's algorithms reinforce political polarization. So because these algorithms are designed to show you things that you already believe, you end up in a perfect feedback loop for retards. You're being manipulated by the system because of the algorithms and what they show you, but then you become a perpetrator yourself by sharing it to your friends who trust you, and they end up believing the same crap that nobody goes and checks just by a simple Google. So because of the prevalence of nonsense and false information on Facebook, especially on the right, Facebook has played a large role in actually deciding this past election.
And that is the evil genius at work here. Weird conspiracy bullshit has always been bubbling under the surface, but Trump was the first major candidate to harness and fully legitimize it. And it's obvious in hindsight. He came along and told millions of people every crazy email you've ever forwarded was true. And that, at least in part, is why he will be our next president. And to their credit, some Republican lawmakers were calling him out on this during the campaign.
I'm going to tell you what I really think of Donald Trump. This man is a pathological liar. He doesn't know the difference between truth and lies.
He was right. He was just right.
Next up is Fox News. Big surprise, a Gallup poll found that 90% of Fox News viewers were either Republican or leaned Republican. And a 2012 survey of media outlets found that NPR listeners were the most well-informed, where, surprise, Fox News viewers were the least well-informed. In a survey about misinformation in the 2010 election, out of 11 false claims studied, PIPA found that almost daily, Fox News viewers were significantly more likely than others to believe 9 of the misconceptions. Just to clarify the relationship between conservatives and Trump, a 2015 YouGov poll found that Trump supporters were 20% liberal, 63% conservative, and 13% very conservative. So we've established that most Republicans are getting their news from Facebook and Fox News. And we've also established that those sources are full of errors and are more likely to make you misinformed. The Dunning-Kruger effect explains that they are not just misinformed, it's that they are completely unaware that they're misinformed. This creates a double burden. Studies have shown that people who lack expertise in some area of knowledge often have a cognitive bias that keeps them from realizing they have a lack of expertise. As psychologist David Dunning puts it in an article for Politico, the knowledge and intelligence that are required to be good at a task are often the same qualities needed to recognize that one is not good at the task. And if one lacks such knowledge and intelligence, one remains ignorant that one is not good at the task. This includes political judgment. Essentially, they're not smart enough to realize they're dumb. Hence the Trump voter. Furthermore, in 2010, political scientists found that when misinformed citizens are told that they are wrong, they actually cling to their original opinions even more than they would otherwise. This is called defensive processing, or the backfire effect. Here's some more science on why you're stupid. A brain imaging study in Current Biology revealed that those who leaned more conservative right-wing actually had a larger amygdala. That's the structure that's electrically active during states of fear and anxiety, meaning they scare easy, and they're much more likely to make decisions based on fear. So how do these findings explain Trump voters? Well, these brain responses are automatic, and not influenced by logic or reason. If you listen to Trump over the past 2 years, he's constantly using language to trigger that fear and anxiety switch in your brain, the one that seems embedded in conservative minds. Fears about Muslims, Mexicans, anxiety about America not being great anymore. So when the liberal elite say things like Trump is using the politics of fear, they're not wrong. He's doing it because it works. Just know though, that if it worked on you, it's because you're an idiot. Reason number 3 that you're an idiot for supporting Trump is the idea that he's a protest candidate. The idea of Trump as an outsider to the political establishment can seem appealing until you take a closer look.
Well, Trump tells it like it is. He says what we're all thinking.
Over the past couple years, PolitiFact rated 76% of Trump's statements to be either false or pants on fire false. Another 14% were half true. Compare that with Hillary Clinton's 26% false statements. And recall that it's Trump supporters that have been calling Hillary a pathological liar. But the media loves Hillary and it's been unfair to Trump. No, they haven't. If anything, they've been way too accommodating to him. He's a blithering idiot. It's literally the job of the media and journalists to call out the bullshit and hypocrisy of presidential candidates. Okay, but they've gone way too easy on Clinton. A, no they haven't. B, who gives a shit? Her crimes and blunders are peanuts compared to that of Trump. Truly independent, not beholden to the lobbyists. Great. He doesn't appear to be beholden to logic or reason either. So where does that leave us? You know, you liberals just really don't get it. Trump understands us real Americans. You feel like you've been ignored by the political elites of both parties, and you've been made to feel like backward, knuckle-dragging, racist, redneck, reactionary, Bushmen. Actually, the educated left does understand your concern. That's exactly why we support Clinton and Bernie Sanders. It's the Republicans who have been systematically stripping away your shot at the American dream for the past 30 years. And in this election, you went ahead and gave the Foxes the keys to the henhouse. Congratulations! You're fucked! This economic war on the poor, which began under Reagan and Thatcher, is called Neoliberalism. It's a set of economic policy prescriptions that have been pushed by right-wingers for the past 3 decades. And it's directly responsible for your stagnant wages and increase in wealth inequality. Yeah, but he's gonna drain the swamp, change the corrupt culture, shake things up.
What are the early signs on that?
Some of the potential cabinet members that are being reported by CNN that are under consideration: Rudy Giuliani, Newt Gingrich, Chris Christie, Reince Priebus.
Right, so that's the longtime head of the RNC, a former speaker who entered Congress in 1979, a former mayor turned professional arsehole, and a man whose name is more synonymous with scandal than Shonda fucking Rhimes. That is so swampy, you're going to need to swap out Air Force One for one of those shallow-bottom boats with a big fan on the back. But some of the people he's bringing in are horrifying. His transition team includes people like Ken Blackwell, who has argued that homosexuality is a choice. And he's named Myron Ebell to lead his EPA transition team, making him a front-runner for administrator despite this.
The whole case for global warming, I believe, is silly, and I believe the vast majority of scientists think it's silly. And therefore, I'm a little bit embarrassed that I waste my time on a silly issue.
Yeah, but Trump's really just the embodiment of the backlash against political correctness. Look, Hillary isn't the one shoving pronouns down our throats and creating safe spaces for all the professional victims to be safe from triggers. She was against gay marriage, for fuck's sake. She's no social justice warrior. Yes, she's guarded with her words, almost to a fault, but at least they're words that form a coherent thought. And while we're on the subject of safe spaces, Trump apparently feels much more strongly about them than we thought. This is a blow to the political establishment. Nope, this is literally their field day. This is going to get them exactly what they want with a Republican House and Congress. You idiots. What have you done? Congress's approval rating was about 13% in 2016, and it's been about that level since 2010. People say government isn't working for them. Well, guess which party has controlled Congress since 2010 and the Senate since 2014? Republicans. They blocked every single piece of legislation brought forward by Democrats and Obama to make them look bad.
Ultimate irony of this election is the cynical strategy of the Republicans, which is our position is government doesn't work. We're going to make sure that it doesn't. But they're not draining the swamp. McConnell and Ryan, those guys are the swamp. And what they decided to do was, I'm going to make sure government doesn't work, and then I'm going to use its lack of working as evidence of it. Donald Trump is a reaction not just to Democrats, to Republicans. He's not a Republican. He's a repudiation of Republicans, but they will reap the benefit of his victory.
I'm supporting Trump to send a message. What message? The only message you're sending is that if you're poor and uneducated, you'll vote for anyone as long as they speak to you in a childlike fashion. The fourth reason you're an idiot for supporting Donald Trump is his policies. Lower taxes. For a bunch of idiots being so concerned about the debt and government spending being out of control, you've got yourself quite a pickle here. Forbes estimated that Clinton's policy of taxing the rich would actually decrease the federal debt by $1.4 trillion, while Trump's would actually increase the debt by $6.1 trillion. Because tax cuts don't work. Anyone with a fucking economics degree or political economy specialization knows that. Everyone knows that. Fuck! Just like Reagan, just like Bush, we know what's going to happen with Trump's tax decreases. Trump's also said in the past that the US should, as a nation, default on its debt and try to renegotiate it, like it's a golf course or one of his failed casinos. Refugees. Trump's rattling about open borders and how we're bringing in all these potential terrorists as if we don't have any screening process. The United States has the most rigorous screening process you can imagine. This isn't one of those things that's up for debate. It's actually incredibly hard to get into the United States as a refugee. Most of the people getting into the country are mothers with children, and the very few men that get in do so because they're the fathers of multiple children. You're not getting single males in their 20s like you are in Europe. This isn't a thing. Build a wall and make Mexico pay for it. For now, let's just ignore the fact that Mexico won't pay for it. According to Pew Research, the undocumented immigrant population has been steady at 11 million for the last decade and has actually dropped from its peak in 2007 since then. And while the US has a better handle on border control than Trump lets on or understands, he's also dead wrong on how undocumented immigrants arrive in the US in the first place. According to PolitiFact and the National Review, over half of undocumented immigrants come by plane or just overstay their visas. So good luck with that wall. On Iraq, Trump said that we should have always just taken their oil. Just taken it.
When asked how he would do this, he said, and this is a quote, well, you just would leave a certain group behind, and you would take various sections where they have the oil. People don't know this about Iraq, but they have among the largest oil reserves in the world. You know, it used to be to the victor go the spoils.
the spoils. Now, there was no victor there, believe me, there was no victor. But I always said, take the oil. One of the benefits we would have had if we took the oil is ISIS would not have been able to take oil and use that oil to fuel themselves.
This is just insanity. Forget about the logistical problems of, quote, just taking the oil. Forget about the ethical problem of taking the main resource from a country we were ostensibly trying to help and further impoverishing tens of millions of people. I mean, what's he picturing happening in Iraq to the Iraqi people when we just take their oil? Mass starvation? Okay, forget about that. Forget about the fact that ISIS's primary funding hasn't been oil. They were robbing banks and forcing people to just give them money. Forget about that. Just imagine how the world, both Muslim and non, would have responded to our invading Iraq and then just stealing their oil, which is to say, confirming the craziest conspiracy theories about why we invaded the country in the first place. Trump is telling us that this is what he would have done had he inherited the ongoing problem of Iraq.
ISIS. Despite the fact that he promised everyone that he had a secret plan for ISIS, it's come to light that no one in his administration has any plan. But they're working on it. In the past, Trump has mistaken Iraqi Kurds for the Iranian National Guard. He's demonstrated zero knowledge of Islamism and Islamic terror. On the other hand, much to the chagrin of the left, Clinton has actually demonstrated a willingness to confront Islamic extremists. Let's also not forget that Trump said, when you take out ISIS, you have to take out their families. He just advocated for a war crime. On torture, Trump actually brags about wanting to torture people.
As far as I'm concerned, waterboarding is absolutely fine, but we should go much further. And I got a standing ovation.
You might actually think this is a good thing and that America can benefit from this no-nonsense stance on terrorism. But you'd be an idiot if you thought that. In 2014, the US Senate released a report that found the CIA's use of enhanced interrogation techniques and torture was completely ineffective over the past 10 years. They didn't get anything. That's because torturing doesn't work. We know it doesn't work. We've always known it doesn't work. But retards that vote for Trump are the type of people that think it's a good idea. And it's because when you're tortured, you'll say fucking anything. That's why the information is completely unreliable. We know that you can get much better information using the carrot method than the stick. But you don't want to hear about facts and reality. You're a Trump voter. Now you remember how I said Trump thinks global warming is a Chinese hoax, right? Epic levels of stupidity. Right, so for the environment, he wants to downsize the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. The agency that's already way underfunded. He wants to repeal all federal spending on clean energy. That includes research and development. He wants to end the war on coal, despite the fact that coal is on its way out already, and there's nothing left of an industry for him to save. Trump's promised to defund NASA's Climate Research Division, because reasons. And he wants to scrap Obama's Clean Power Plan, the plan that helps reduce carbon emissions. All of this despite the fact that it's way cheaper to mitigate the effects of climate change now than to just do nothing and wait for shit to happen in the future. Ban Muslims from entering the US. Now, he has said he's softened his stance on that already, but he only changed it once he realized how incredibly impractical it would be to enforce. Probably someone had to explain this to him. Slowly. I'm not bringing this up because of the blatant racism and xenophobia. The point here is that he knows so little about government and public policy that he actually thought this was a feasible policy position to have. Now instead, the Trump team is talking about putting all US Muslims on a registry because we did it during World War II with the Japanese. It's bad enough he's invoking the Japanese internment camps under FDR. But do you remember who else had to register themselves on a list during World War II? He's also promised to kill NAFTA and tax companies who leave America. Can't say I really hate that one. We'll just leave that one alone for now. The scary thing about Trump's policies is that it seems like he's completely winging it. Like it's an exam he didn't really study for. He'll say something one day and then change his mind the next when he finds out it's not feasible. He's intellectually rudderless.
He just reminded me like when I didn't read the book and I'm just winging it, you know? I'm gonna do it!
How are you going to do that? Oh, you'll see. You'll see. It worked.
That's Trump's mind. And what's so terrifying about Trump is not so much his perceived xenophobia or racism, it's that by virtue of his complete lack of knowledge, he's playing Russian roulette, not with his company anymore, but with an entire nation state. And the fifth reason you're an idiot for supporting Trump is Hillary Clinton's a much better candidate. You heard a lot of people before the election saying it's a choice between a turd sandwich and a giant douche. But this is a false equivalency. It's not the choice between a giant douche and a turd sandwich, it's the choice between one turd sandwich and 500 turd sandwiches. They're not even in the same ballpark. Hillary's flaws as a candidate have caused people to forget Trump's flaws as a human being. I don't even like Hillary. She's a rabid opportunist. She's hawkish. She's cozy with Wall Street. She's cozy with some distasteful world leaders. She'll take money from anyone. She leans much further to the right than people actually think. There are a lot of reasons to think she's not a great candidate for president. But it would be crazy to say that she wouldn't be a competent president, because she's demonstrably well-informed, intelligent, and well-tempered. At the very least, she's a competent adult. You cannot reasonably say she's an ignoramus. You can reasonably say that about Donald Trump. Given a Democratic Senate and Congress, Hillary would stand a chance of even being a good president. Her email scandal. Who gives a shit? What do you think she's really covering up? She a spy for the Russians? She involved in a spooky pedophile ring at a pizza place? The FBI was looking into this crap for a year and hasn't found fuck all. Get over it. No one cares. There's an important distinction between a smart person who makes a few dumb decisions and someone who's objectively a blithering imbecile to their core and whose ideas are anchored to nothing more than personal urges and feelings, like a toddler. We've already talked about her tax plan. There's also her plan to greatly diminish student debt, which Bernie Sanders helped her out with. There's her stance on minimum wage, gun control, abortion, global warming, all kinds of issues where she beats Donald Trump. The thing with Hillary is, even if all the worst conspiracy theories about her were true, she'd still be a better president than Donald Trump. Pizzagate, pedophile rings, Whitewater murders, covering up for her rapist husband, murdering JFK Jr., why not? Benghazi, emails, all of them could be true. Still better than Trump. So thanks for watching, everyone. If you're a Trump supporter, thanks for taking the time to understand why you're an idiot. I really appreciate it. Please feel free to leave a comment below explaining how I've helped you see the light.